come down to Roundy Park at the north end of Leeds, and as you can see, it's a beautiful venue, but it's also a training venue, or it was throughout my career, and I will say without a shadow of a doubt, it was the most horrendous training venue of my career, because it took you to a place where you would literally see fluid from every orifice at L368. I'm going to take you around there pretty soon. When I retire, I won't miss it, but I do miss some of the players that I used to run it with, not least this Leeds Rhinos legend and current OKR halfback, Danny McGuire. How are you, Paul?
All right, mate, you?
Good to see you. I'm great. Mate, we're going to have a little bit of a chat, and I'm really looking forward to this about your career, and we're privileged to get a rugby exclusive with Danny McGuire. But I want to start towards the end, because it's funny, talking about some of your highlights, we're going to talk about some of them. We're both actually finishing off fighting a relegation, and it is every bit as horrendous as you can imagine. So Danny, in contrast to some of the highlights of your career, finishing off at Leeds in a grand final, performing at a level that I've never seen anybody switch on before, what's it feel like now at the back end of it?
It's pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Pressure,
yeah.
A lot of pressure, but it's good. It's about turning up and performing under pressure, I think, innit? I think that's the big test, and it's all right doing it on semi-finals and finals. It's when jobs and lives and careers matter, I think, not just obviously personally. Obviously I'm going to be staying on at Rovers after, so my job after obviously all the other players that have got mortgages and that with relegation and stuff, it's a pretty tense time, innit? And everybody gets a little bit nervous, and obviously I'm looking a little bit to the future as well. We're planning for next year for the club, and that's hard to sort of do when you're in them uncertain times. So it's tough, but it's part and parcel of sport, innit? You just got to get on with it, and looking forward to the last few months of the season. You
mentioned there a key phrase, to turn up and perform. I'm not just saying it because he's here. I've never played with a player who can turn up and perform when they need to on the big games. You are a big game player, and I'm sure your humility will shrug your shoulders a little bit, but do you find it the same being able to do that at the bottom as the top? And what do you think it is intrinsically inside of Danny McGuire that enables you to bring it when it matters the most?
I don't know, to be fair. I think it's probably the competitive streak in me, as me and you know full well. Competing all the time, pool, darts, whatever else, obviously on the training paddock as well. We did it for 10-15 years, so I think just wanting to win, wanting to be successful, that drive from inside that you don't want to lose, and obviously where we're sat in the table, it's it's not good. You want to be up there competing for the trophies and that, but obviously it's not to be this year. But I suppose we're both in a situation where we're fighting for different things, and just want to, obviously coming to the end of my career, and I just want it to be as a positive finish as possible. And obviously all the games are pressure situations, but you just got to turn up and try and perform and do your best under tough circumstances. One of the things I miss about Magsy not being with us right now and playing with players like him is sometimes I think we had a real fortunate generation that all come through. Loved Leeds, and I don't want to, I know you're an OKR player, so I don't want to dwell on that too much, but we were very competitive and we held each other to account because we all wanted the same thing, wanted to win. And one of my favourite memories, or ones that we laugh about now, was actually at OKR at Craven Park when Jamie Peacock had been monopolising all the carries because he just wanted all the balls. He wanted to win as much as we did. And I said to Magsy, I need the ball. I hadn't had any carries for about 15-20 minutes. He went, don't worry, Jonesy, I'll give it you. Next time he got to dummy half, gets in there, gives it Peacock, and me and him manhandling each other in front of OKR stand. Do you remember it? It was funny. It was about 2 sets, wasn't it? It was good. We had a good slagging match at each other, and I think all the Rovers fans in the stand were laughing. We were abusing each other that much, but again, that's just the competitive edge that we had between us, and that between 10 or 15 players, that's what obviously made us successful. We wanted to win, we wanted to be successful, we pushed each other. We even had little fights in training and stuff, but it was all because we cared and we wanted to win. I'll tell you a few more stories as we have a bit of a walk round, but it's interesting right now. A lot of ex-Leeds players at OKR, it's almost comical, you couldn't write it. Matt Parcell swaps there for Sean Lunt, goes and has an outstanding game, scores the decider, I suppose, gets himself a man of the match award and puts us bottom of the table. I'm sat there, made in between my hands, in between my legs there, watching it. But what's it like playing with some of those old Leeds players and getting some of that camaraderie back? It's good, yeah, it's good. Obviously we've got Mitch, Jimmy, Rob Malone. We had Lunty there for a bit until obviously he swapped back to Leeds, so the merry-go-rounds. But yeah, it's good. It's easy for the guys to come in when you've got some familiar faces as well, and obviously Mitch came in at the start of the year and Jimmy, and obviously Matt's coming now, so it's a lot easier to settle into a new team when you know players and you've been around players. So yeah, I mean, it's good. You know, we all had a good time at Leeds. We all enjoyed it at Leeds. I had, you know, brilliant 20 years there, and I know Mitch and Matt and Jimmy, you know, loved the time at Leeds as well. But we're Rovers players at the minute, and you know, we'll be doing everything possible to make the club successful and obviously have a good finish to the season.
I'm going to mention Tony Smith in a little bit. He's a character that we all know really well, but I wanted to ask you a little bit about what you're going to do next as well, because you've decided to go into recruitment at OKR, which doesn't surprise me for a multitude of reasons. You've always been in the sport. If anybody knows exactly what's going on Sky Sports News, it's this guy here, Danny McGuire, because you love sport, but you're also good friends with Craig Harrison as well, who's obviously a top agent in the league. Super agent, yeah. And I think he's got lads like Jack Walker living in his basement and something like that. So you've got your tentacles everywhere. What was it that attracted you to recruitment?
Good question, to be honest with you. It was just a role that Rovers had coming up, and something that interested me. I think you probably don't realise how important recruitment is for a club, and the planning and, you know, getting the right people in the club from a young age. So I'm going to be working from scholarship all the way to first team, just getting the right people in the right places, and it's something that excites me. I think recruitment sometimes can be done a bit slapdash, is it? I think the word, just last minute and fighting for deals. I think there's got to be a bit more planning in it, and that's something that I'm looking to do. Get younger, more players in the prime to the club. I think if Rovers are honest, we've probably got players at the back end of the career, and you know, obviously that happened to me as well. I went there at the back end of my career. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. You do need a bit of experience, but you know, a bit more planning, and you know, we're doing a bit of coaching there, a bit of mentoring with the young halfbacks at the club, and a bit of work commercially. So it's a real rounded job, and something that I'm, you know, really excited to get my teeth into. I feel like I can make a difference, and you know, I think OKR, the club's got huge potential. I really do. I think a few areas that we can tidy up, and the club can definitely move forward.
Tell me a little bit about that coaching that you're doing. Just is that mentoring some of the halfbacks, talking about field position, kicking game, that type of thing? What is it?
Bit of everything. It's something I'm really keen to do. I feel like you've always said it. We've got, as players that have been successful, you've got to give back. You know, you've got to give something back, and to walk away from the game and not give some of the things I've picked up, I think it'd be a bit of a waste. And you know, I've worked with some great players, some great coaches. So, and we've got a young lad at Rovers called Mikey Lewis, a young halfback, and he's going to be exceptional. So to be able to look after him for a couple of years and try and bring his game on is something that I'm looking forward to. And I think it's probably something we're missing in rugby league a little bit, that position-specific coaching where you get to spend a bit of time with them halves, or you know, forwards, or whatever. You know, if you wanted to go down that line, it's just, you know, they do it in NFL, rugby union, and you know, it's something that I feel like we could potentially do, you know, a lot more in rugby league. So yeah, I'll be definitely doing that, and you know, passing on a bit of knowledge that I've picked up over the years.
Understanding the best players, understanding the players that will fit into your club, and also at the right time in form. And Danny McGuire is somebody who knows a little bit about form in sport. You've always been into horses a little bit. I'm going to finish off with a little story before we moved on. I think you can already tell what it might be, but you've just really quickly, you've bought into horses before. It's a big part of your sporting life as well.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it. It's, you've got to have your things away from rugby, I reckon, haven't you? Just to keep you know, rugby takes up 90% of your life. You've got to have, you know, something that you enjoy outside. I like playing a bit of golf, like you say, I like getting involved in horse racing, having a little bet, and you know, that's just my sort of downtime, really.
And there was a case of mistaken identity one time when a poor, young, unassuming Danny McGuire's coming out of a bucket.
I didn't know we were going down this line.
And some policemen mistook him for a criminal of some sort. A scallywag. Just tell us through that.
Quite easily done in East Leeds. You know what I mean? There's plenty of scallywags walking around there, and I think I was just going to put a lucky 15 on, nothing special, just a little bet for, I think it was Friday afternoon, finished training, and I just got basically cornered by some an unmarked car with some plainclothes coppers, and they tried to get me, basically. put a bit of feet on them, hand off, and I were gone. And they chased me into Bucky's, and found out it wasn't me. So good story, but at the time I was pretty scared. I thought I was getting mugged. I had a bit of money in my pocket as well. I thought I was getting mugged.
That's class. Let's have a move on. Magsy, we talked a little bit about accountability, and I think that's really important in any team, and we used to do it a lot. In fact, I remember one game we played at Wembley, I think against Warrington, might have been about 2012, and Keith Senior's gone down short side and he's flicked the ball up to me. I've gone round him, flicked it round my back to beat Matt King, give it Ryan Hall, and Ben Westwood's thrown him into touch. Yep. And I remember thinking, wow, ball's going in touch, we've lost possession here. I thought it was a great play at Wembley on the big stage. And I looked round to my right and Danny Maggs, who's playing over at right side, is this big. And I could see him jogging over, getting bigger and bigger, till he's right up in the mid-face and telling me exactly what he thinks. And I remember as well, whenever you used to tell me, you used to put your arms behind your back to give yourself more leverage. Yeah. But it was funny, wasn't it? We can look back now and laugh, can't we?
Certainly can. Yeah, I got a bit excited sometimes. I probably got a bit over emotional at times as well, but I think that's me. I can't change how I am, and I probably got a bit frustrated, and that probably affected me sometimes in my performance as well. I probably needed to, as I got more mature, a bit older, probably got a bit better balance. But it's just, again, that's just that competitive edge. I want to win, and probably at times I probably went a bit too hard on you guys. I loved
it, mate. I love it, and I still miss it.
But then you get the ball next set and you'd run 100 mile an hour.
That's it.
And make a line break or whatever, and knock 4 people off and that. And you had to pick who you knew you could have a little bit of a go at, and the ones that didn't take it well. So, but yeah, it was like they say, the accountability of the team, and we made each other play well, really. And I think that's probably a lot of the reasons why we were successful.
And when we got it wrong, we trusted and we loved each other enough to want to put it right. Magsy's already said it, but I think it's also a continuation of what a good coach brings. And for us, whilst we had time at Leeds before Tony Smith, he was probably the catapult and the catalyst behind our generational success. You've got him back at OKR right now. What is he like in contrast to the Tony Smith of 2004 to 2019?
Very, very similar. I think he's got his mojo back. I think back end of his Warrington, he'd been there a long time, and if he's probably honest, he probably fell out of love a little bit with the game, and I think just he's bouncing into work on a morning, and he's got that energy back, and he's been brilliant for us. He's been really good. The lads have bought into his structures and what he wants from you as a player. The commitment, the attitude that you need to give to his team, and he's been good. Yeah, he's all the philosophies that he talks about. It's very similar to what he brought in 2004. And again, just that accountability for your actions. When you're on the field and training, the intensity of training steps up a notch, and it's been brilliant.
I remember he used to give you things whenever you stopped a video, paused it, a game. In the 80 minutes, everybody had a role to play. Everybody had a job to do, and you used to hang your hat off that role. Is he still the same now? When you're playing the games, you've seen a marked improvement in your performance since he's come back. Is that what players are hanging off? Some of those little instructions?
Yeah, and it's all minor detail that you probably take for granted. Such as kick chase and more people being in the picture when there's a loose ball on the floor and having that energy to get on it, and all the things that you probably do take for granted sometimes as a rugby player. You get a little bit complacent and just think that that 30-metre cut-out pass will save you, when it's actually the small things that make a team and a good player. So, and Tony's done that. Tony's been jumped on anything that we've not done as a team, and everybody's accountable for their actions. And I think that's probably why our performances have been a lot better the last month.
We're nearly there, mate. We're nearly back to Rule 60, and to me, it brings out fear and dread. But when you look back now, when you think about the fact that it was in the pursuit of grand final success, it all was all worth it. Do you see the necessary evil that it used to be for us?
I feel a bit sick walking towards it, actually. I think I was sick 90% of the time. But it was that mental challenge, wasn't it? I think it was always about mentally not giving in, and you didn't have to run up, you didn't have to be the quickest up there, but you had to keep moving. And we had some funny times. Marcus Pye and Kylie getting stuck on the hill and not underestimating the power of the hill, trying to go too quick too soon. And it was good. I used to dread the Saturday mornings, but they definitely were a sort of a building block towards a good season, I think. And you knew when you were flying up the hills and feeling good after it that you were in good shape and you were ready to play. So they were always a good marker for where the team were, and you drag each other up when people were struggling. And you know, pat each other on the back at the end of it and all, you know, all be buzzing when you finished and go for a coffee and a breakfast after, didn't you? It was a bit of a celebration just to get through them.
Certainly was. And I remember one particular year we'd finished Hills and your half-back partner there in Rob Burrow got in his little Toyota MR2, drove back up the hill here and wrapped his car around a tree, and we all found him sideways. His car went against the tree and he's climbing out the top like that, still distressed from the hills with a smashed up MR2, and we had to push it down and rock him and tell him to get on with it and go home. But we're here, mate. Let's have a little walk over and see what it does to the heart. Yeah, Marcus By, Gary Conley, it's defeated them all.
He's defeated a few people. Next one, McGuire, when he got stuck, didn't he? Remember? He was just like that, he couldn't move his legs. Legs just gave in.
Mad fast twitch.
I think they made him come back next day and finish him, didn't they?
Did they?
I think so. I vaguely remember he got. Yeah. I think like say we had 8 and he'd done like 5, got stuck, and they made him come back and finish him that next day. Or
that's amazing.
Yeah. I always remember I used to gip about you.
Did you?
I'd be all right up, and then it'd get to me just our 3/4 of way down, and then I'd start to get like gipping and go.
Yeah, it's flipping awful, mate. It was awful. In fact, it's weird because running, when you set off running, first few steps, it sort of went for a second, and then it killed you again. And when you're walking back down, so you had to walk down backwards.
To be fair though, the ones that you ran to that first tree, it was the last bit to the other tree. Remember?
Yeah.
That used to get me. That was my worst bit.
Magsy, I don't know if you can tell by the steepness of the hill on camera. It might not even look that steep, but it was horrendous. And you might have heard us talking then about people like Kylie Lillywhite who just couldn't finish him. You know, Magsy said that they brought him back the next day, and that would reinforce the mentality that we had to go through it. And when we look back at some of the career highlights, Magsy, there are hills to climb within a rugby league career. It's a painful sport. We're here 20 odd years later, looking back and reminiscing with a great deal of nostalgia and thankfulness for opportunities that we've had. But I wanted to ask you about some of your highlights, some of those hills that you've climbed. If you could think of maybe 2 or 3 of your biggest moments, what would they
be? Biggest would be my last game, I think.
Right.
Just because the emotional side of it, and just obviously having to deal with that. Obviously knowing it was going to be my last game for Leeds. Sort of the pressure that brought a little bit, and obviously it being a grand final as well against a team that we'd got whooped by a couple of times that year, and a couple of things that went on that year which were tough, and just to be able to then turn it round as a team and obviously individually have a good game as well for the team, and you know, win the grand final, that takes some beating, I think, to be honest with you. And I'd say that I think making your Great Britain debuts, you know, we played together, we were just talking about before, against New Zealand, and making your Great Britain debuts, the highlight for any player in it. It's just, you know, I know they're obviously bringing the tour back this year, which is the best thing they could have done. It's totally different to wearing an England shirt. It's special, but wearing that GB badge and that, I don't know, it's just got that bit of history behind it, and the prestigiousness of it. Is that a word? I don't even know if that's a word. It
is now.
It is now.
I'm pretty sure it is, but
I've just trademarked it anyway if it's not. But yeah, just that shirt is, you know, having that line on your chest is one another special moment. So I'd probably say them 2 if I had to pick 2.
Mate, you mentioned there 2017, and what was quite special about it actually was that we won it off the back of finishing in those middle eights end of 2016, fighting relegation, which was very unusual for us. Obviously, Kev Sinfield and Jamie Peacock and Kylie retired in that all-famous 2015 treble, which was documented in that film As Good As It Gets that we tried to put together. And if you haven't watched it yet, get on Amazon, it's on there. We get about 12p every time we stream it, so keep making on some money as well. But actually, you mentioned there, the story in 17 was probably more powerful when you think about where we'd come from at the bottom of the hill to get there and finish it off against Cass, who banged us about 8, 9, 10, 12 times on trot, beat us 66-10 earlier on that same year. There's a film still to be made about that, I reckon, don't you?
Yeah, probably. It's interesting, that 2016 were... that were a tough year, wasn't it? That were a tough year. I struggled all year with injury, and I suppose I couldn't have any say on how the team performed, and that's frustrating as a player when you just want to be out there doing your role for the team and fulfilling it to the best of your ability. And when you can't do that as a rugby league player, that's the hardest bit, I think, anyway. And Yeah, that was dreadful. Yeah, I came close that year to thinking I've had enough.
Right.
At the back towards the back end of that year, I was struggling with a foot injury, and I just thought, you know, I can't remember, I'd been 33, 34, something like that, and I just thought, I'm not going to be able to get back to that level again. And I remember I went back early on my own training with Ben Harper, the physio. I did 2 weeks on my own before pre-season.
Wow.
And I just thought, I'm going to give it everything in this 2 weeks. I'm going to have a week. I had a week holiday booked, and then I'm going to rip into that pre-season. And touch wood, you know, I got on top of all my little niggles, and I think I missed 2 games in 17. One rested and one with a little bit of a calf strain. So I think sometimes people don't realise that, you know, you think rugby league players have it all rosy, but sometimes you've got to try and, in my way of getting back to fit, we're going in and doing that bit extra really. So that was probably a catalyst to having a good year the next year.
For me, part of the motivation for putting those films together was not the highlights really. It was to communicate the fact that the majority of it is distress. It's getting over them challenges. How did you deal with some of that doubt? You know, I've faced it through a lot of my career. You know, the doubt in yourself, particularly in tough times. Have I been lucky? Am I really that good? You know, when you get old, especially, and you know that it's a one-way street, and you're never going to get any younger again. How have you dealt with those moments?
I suppose it's just having that self-belief a little bit. I think I've always believed in myself and backed my ability, but you do question yourself. You've got to have good support around you. I think that's the big thing. I mean, I've always had. You know, you'll know, me and you used to battle for most tickets, didn't we? Our families trying to get, you know, there'd be 50 of us on Wembley trips and that from our families and stuff, and never get paid for tickets and stuff, would we?
Still chasing it.
Yeah. So I think you've got to have good people around, good family around me, my wife and mum and dad and everybody else. Just that support network when you're struggling, and you know, good friends as well. Always help. You can, you know, they push you through the tough times, and obviously teammates. You know, your teammates and. You know, you probably don't talk about stuff like that with your teammates, do you? You know, it's not seen as something that you do, but just knowing that they're going through the tough times as well. And yeah, I think it was more individually, just that makes you know, do everything possible to get back to where I was. I know I still had a lot to give, and you have tough times and you just got to be able to overcome them. I think that's the strength of the person, really.
I remember being down on these hills and thinking, you know, the way that I can maybe overcome some of those fears and anxieties is by beating the person next to me and getting up the hill quicker. And I remember doing everything that I could to lose weight, to put skins on, to drink bicarbonate soda to try and buffer the lactic acid, whatever I thought would get me up that hill a little bit quicker. And we even used to wear spikes, if you remember.
Yeah.
We've done it in the snow. When you think about what we've been through and where we are now, do you get emotional when you look back and think we are right on the brink of the end, we're on that event horizon? Do you get emotional?
I've not yet. Right. I reckon that might be to come, to be honest with you. I think when you're still involved week to week and you don't get much time to think about the past or the future, do you? You just, right, what we're doing Wednesday morning, we've got weight skills, video session, we're preparing for Wigan on Friday or whatever. You don't get too much time to sort of reflect or look, you know, look to the future. I think it's probably something you do, you know that when you're finished, I think. And at the minute, I ain't had any time to sort of think about, you know, too much about the past or what's going to happen in the future. I've obviously got my role sorted at Rovers, which I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, probably will be. I will be emotional without a doubt. It's, you know, when you've done something from, you know, I signed for Leeds when I was 12, 13, and rugby league's all I've done, and you know, all I've done since I left school really. Is train and play rugby league. So and that you'll probably miss that camaraderie around the changing rooms. And we were talking about rugby leagues. Probably if somebody who doesn't know rugby league watched it, I think it's a stupid game.
Yeah.
They're running into each other at ridiculous speeds, and well, you know, they've got no fear, and it is a bit of a daft game, but it's what we love. We'll miss, you know, I'll miss the competition, I'll miss the physicality of the game, I'll miss winning and losing, but I'll have to find my kick somewhere else, I think.
Absolutely, you've got to fill those holes and get that gratification elsewhere. And the beauty of rugby league for me, I think, when there's not just the win on the scoreboard at the end of the game, there's those little battles that go on within the field, particularly in a gladiatorial game. But just wanted to touch on really quick before we run back up this hill for maybe one more time, Magsy, and have a chat in the bandstand about the academy days, because for me I think they are the most emotive, because you're coming into an environment of potential where you're a young kid and you're playing a game just because you love it and could fulfil this dream of, fill in the boots of people like Gary Schofield, which he obviously went on and did. But I remember back in 2008 we played in a World Cup. It was probably the worst World Cup in living memory. There was this, I don't know, it was a mythical Saints versus Leeds battle. Obviously before then we were fortunate to play in the last Great Britain team before it comes back this year, beating the New Zealand there in a tri-series. And if I remember correctly, when we was in Brisbane actually in that World Cup, it was about the time X Factor had started, and you and Rob Burrow used to get in bed early with a can of Coke. I might have a picture for you right here and enjoy it and have a little bit of fun. But did you play for Yorkshire as well? Did you play for Yorkshire?
Yeah.
So you've done it all, you've ticked all the boxes. Have there been any regrets, or when you look back on your career, is there anything you'd change or do different?
Yeah, there is actually. I wouldn't say it's a massive regret, but international rugby's probably a big regret for me. Or I wouldn't say regret, but probably a disappointment.
Right.
I probably didn't, I didn't play to my potential, so I've got to take a lot of responsibility for that when I did get an opportunity. But I felt the only time I really enjoyed it was when I first got into the system,
right.
Early part, and it didn't seem like there was any pressure. You just go and express yourself, enjoy it, and then sort of as I became as you sort of a bit more experienced in there, it felt like that if we didn't win against Australia, then they changed the halfbacks. There were never any, right, you've got a series here to form a partnership with another halfback. Sometimes it was Sean Long, Leon Price, Justin Harris, Paul Deacon. They're just constantly changing it, and you could never develop that sort of understanding with, I played with Rob and Kev, and we very rarely got an opportunity to play together.
Yep.
So that's a little bit of a regret, but I think I got 20 caps for England and Great Britain, so I did all right, but I probably never fulfilled my potential, if that makes sense. I never played to the best then, and we're always at the end of the season, and it's hard to say when you're playing for your country, but you're looking forward to a bit of a break at the end of the year, aren't you? And you've got your games coming up, and it is tough. It's tough, but I probably never played to my potential in England or GB shirt, I don't think.
Do you reckon that might have been a victim of the fact that you was all Leeds players? I'm not going to bash the Leeds tree, but it's funny, over our generation, I think it took until Zach Hardaker, was it, in 15 to win the Man of Steel. Nobody ever really got recognised, and sometimes there was this persona of Kev, Magsy, Rob, and Rob, you would say, I don't know if he reached his potential internationally, but never got the opportunity to create some of the magic that he did in domestic rugby league.
Probably all three of us, to be fair. I think Kev, until the back end of his career, he obviously he was competing against Paul Sculthorpe, Andy Farrell, probably two of the best players that have played the game, so he never really got a fair crack. Rob was the same, and I think we can count on one hand the amount of times that me, Rob and Kev actually played internationally together. So, but we had competition with St Helens, Leon Price and Sean Long, and like I said, Paul Deacon, Justin Harris were there, so there were some good halfbacks around at the time, but obviously it was what it was, and it is a little bit of a regret, but I think what happened club-wise sort of made up for that a little bit.
Absolutely, lots of success there. We'll have a walk up this hill now, maybe a little jog towards back end, and have a chat about our youth, our young days, because that's where the roots are formed, that's where the real strength comes from. So, mate, have you got one more in you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes. He's too quick.
To beat me as well.
He's still winning it. Back in the day. We do six. Started off with 6, we moved up to about 12, and it was awful. But the endorphins, mate, I remember the endorphins afterwards. It was like the best ever. Did you ever have any sort of tactics? Because I remember sometimes I used to, rather than it being too steep, I'd take over this mound and I'd go backwards.
You used to try and form a path that you used to think... But it were all the same, wasn't it? You know what I mean? You used to try and go backwards to stop lactic, but that didn't work. So I think best thing was to get up as quick as you could and get down as quick as you could, so you had a bit more of a rest at one.
That's it, stand still for a bit.
That's how I sort of tried to deal with it, but it's tough, innit? No matter which scenario you tried to use, you were gone at the end.
You're struggling.
But you, like I said before, you always had a buzz when you finished it, didn't you? It was always like you knew your weekend, you knew you had the rest of the Saturday and your Sunday to sort of relax and sort of chill out and get right to go again on Monday. So it was good times.
Go Coach Stanley. You'd have the odd dog walker around here, a lot of vegetation, a lot of fields, and somebody with like 12 dogs Dogs would run through players and everybody's scared
Brian
of dogs.
Mack's
And
chasing everybody
Brian
around.
Mack, Brian Mack would bring his dog
and
as
I'm
well.
scared of dogs as well, by the way.
Yeah, Magsy don't like dogs at all. He hates them, runs a mile, runs into walls and all sorts, starts spitting and spluttering. But there's no better as well. You get to the top of the hill, you start jogging down it, and you pass people in your group still coming up, breaks them. Then it just slows them down, and you've got them. Then you've defeated them. Yes. And then it's not here now. It's a meadow. It's a bit of a meadow. But actually, when it progressed, Walshy and I was running through here, and it was in between. There's a little mound in between these two trees.
Yep.
And that's where we'd finish. Was it about
Oh
here?
yeah, because
we
used
here,
to go
wasn't
past that tree, and it'd be in the middle there, between them two trees.
Yeah, that's it. Little
We'd
mound
leave all
here.
those water bottles over here, and we'd have to run between these two trees.
That's right. That's right, because I used to hang my tops on that one.
Yeah.
So hang our tops on there, on that tree. And then, me being Jamie Jones Buchanan, I'd run all the way back to my car with lads, and then realise I've left my top with my car keys here on tree.
That's true, that.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
That's true. Every week.
Yeah, hopeless, mate. Hopeless. Magsy, I wanted to touch on a time when we all played rugby league just because we loved it, and we wanted to get up on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning and go play with our mates. And for you, a lot of that was at East Leeds with me. It was Stanley. You've got a young lad, Louis, there playing at East Leeds, just about to start. My youngest is going to start at Stanley as well. But just tell me about when you signed for Leeds. You know, thinking about the fact that you'd grown up watching the players, the superstars there, your Ellery Hanleys, your Gary Schofields. What did that mean to you?
I mean, at the time, it was strange because I was young. Yeah. And I remember, like, I went up to watch a Boxing Day game, Leeds Cass. It'll be 95, I want to say. And I didn't think out of it. Bob Pickles invited us up, and the legend that is Bob. And then within like 2 weeks, I'd signed a 6-year contract. It was like, it was crazy. And like, I think, like you just said then, as a kid, you just play rugby because you're with your mates, and I enjoyed all sport. I just wanted to be active, and you just play because you love the game, and you don't really think that. Obviously, you've got your heroes, you know, watching Scully and Ellery Hanley and that, but you probably at that age, you probably don't think that could be you, do you? Really?
No,
You're just playing because you know. And then obviously, I left school and joined the academy and stuff, and obviously the rest is history. But yeah, it happened really quick. To be fair, bit of a shock, and my dad was shocked, and because obviously now there's the scholarship and everything, it's a lot more of a, you know, a better setup. There's a pathway for kids now, and academy, and obviously for the reserves and first team, there's a pathway to the top, whereas it was just right, here's a 6-year contract, a little bit of money, which was nice, and we'll see you when you're 16. I was like, right, okay, happy days. So
do you think it was a bit better than or maybe different in the way, because he talks about we've got scholarships and we're always trying to keep tabs on some of our better players, our better younger players, but actually that means we end up bringing, in some cases, 20 odd players through who get Leeds Rhinos kits and think we're going to go on and play for Leeds Rhinos, but in our day they'd signed 3 or 4 to fill up what had left the too old for the academy. And so when you'd sign for, you was a Leeds player, you was on that pathway. You think it's a little bit different now?
Potentially, yeah. I think it's probably a little bit easier for kids as well. There's not as much, you know, I think you've got to earn the right, haven't you? You've got to earn it, you've got to earn that opportunity, and you know, I'm not having got young kids these days, but you know, I don't want to sound like I'm an old man, but sometimes it's fed to them a little bit too easy, a little bit silver spoon, and I understand that, you know, you've got to treat young players correctly, and you know, I've seen a few coaches who have treat them mean, keep them keen attitude, and sometimes that don't work with young players. You've got to know the right way to approach these young players, and you've got to feel like you've got to get on their level as well. And but society's different now, isn't it, with all social media and that. The world's changed a little bit from our day, and you know, I remember getting my first Asics kit and my first suit for the academy, the brown suit, and it were like Christmas. All my Christmases that come at once, it were the best buzz ever. But you know, it's a little bit different now. They've got everything now, these kids these days, haven't they? So it is a little bit different, but I suppose you just got to move with the times.
Mate, I wore my first kit, and it was before Rhinos. It was the old Leeds RL, and I was squad number 66. And I remember I never took it off. I had one pair of shorts, one like hoodie type material top, a t-shirt and a vest, and that was it. A pair of socks, and I absolutely loved it. And I once seen Richie Mallers once acquired it and ended up giving it to one of his mates called Burger, this lad in Bromley. And I'm driving down Bromley Town Street a few years later. I've seen this kid with my 66 kit on, and I went and stripped him down in the middle of the street and made him give it back. We've since become good friends, so don't worry. What challenges did you face as a young academy player? I remember sometimes being stood in a shower thinking, right, I've been there a year, I've got 2 more years left to make it, and my $2,000 a year contract is running out really quick. What do you remember?
My first year was really tough. I struggled my first year. I wasn't ready. Right. Because I took on rather than do the apprenticeship and train full time, I went to college for 2 years. So I was training on an evening and missing out like extra gym sessions, extra skill sessions and stuff. So Rob, James Agers, Chev Walker, few of them boys who came through with me all sort of went ahead of me. I sort of physically I wasn't ready. I hardly played any games that first year academy, and I've said it a few times. I got a letter off Dean Bell, an end of season report, and it was pretty chilling, to be honest with me. My granddad kept it, and every year he got it out and said, don't forget this report. It was obviously naturally talented, you've got ability, but you need to work harder. And it was true. It was perfect. And I remember going back the next pre-season and thinking, I'm not going to be sat on the sidelines this year. I'm playing, and obviously then I sort of kicked on, and so it wasn't rosy to start with. I had a tough year that first year.
Mate, have you still got that letter?
I had it, and we was looking for it. My granddad kept like a picnic hamper full of videos and letters and everything, and he passed away like maybe probably 6-7 years ago, and we kept all the stuff, but I think it's at my mum and dad's. I've still got the letter. I had it 2 or 3 years ago because I used to keep it for motivation.
Wow, pretty special that is really special. I remember you were really close to your granddad. And moving on then towards your debut, I had a torrid time in the academy. My groin felt a bit, if you remember. Yeah. So when you're talking about that brown suit, I remember walking around Old Trafford in it in about '98 when Leeds played Wigan in that inaugural grand final, and they obviously lost, but for me that was the start of my groin injury when I had probably the best part of 2 years off, played about 8 games, and I guess that's when you, Chev, Rob and Bailey started to really rise and surpass where I was on fringes there with an injury. What do you remember about your debut in those later academy years?
Debut was good. It was, Barry Mack give the famous whatever you do, don't drop it, which is what I used to do to all the lads.
Otherwise you'll never play again.
Otherwise you'll never play again, yeah. But it was weird time for Leeds, that early 2000s, wasn't it? There were a bit of a transition going on. There were a bit of fight for us young boys coming into the squad, and some senior boys that weren't so keen on us younger guys, and it wasn't a great, let's be honest, it wasn't a great environment in the early 2000s. No. So, but yeah, I've played against Salford. I came on for Yestin actually. It was the time that Yestin was leaving and going to Rugby Union, and I think you always remember your debut, don't you? It was, I probably again, I don't think I was physically ready to play, and I was nervous. I was 75 kilos, something like that, but I got on. I had a couple of touches, a few nice runs, missed a couple of tackles as I've always done, but yeah, it was good, great experience. You'll never forget. They're the moments that you cherish, and although it wasn't anything special, we beat Salford easy. It was, I'll always hold in high regard, I think. Yeah.
Do you know, it's funny because people talk a lot about our generation, and God willing they will do for a lot of years, because we were part of the most successful period in the club's 120 odd year history, but it took time, and I think that's something that I understand now. You mentioned the word transition and young players coming through. I think about Jack Walker and Mickelai and Cam Smith, some of the boys that are there now. When we came through in early 2000s, right through to probably 2004 when we reached that sort of launch pad, it does take time for transitions and young players to get used to it, to become ready, doesn't it? So when you get to see Leeds players or Leeds supporters now, obviously, I don't want to keep banning the Leeds drum here by the way, but I think for any club, OKR, Warrington, whatever it be, St Helens have been through it a little bit as well in the last sort of 15 years. It takes time, doesn't it, to change a generation?
It does. There's got to have a bit of patience and a bit of a plan, I think. Yeah. I think the club, early part of our time at Leeds, the club had a plan. Yeah. They saw potential in 20 players and invested and developed them players, and it just doesn't happen by fluke. You don't just say, right, well, these are here. You've got to train well. You've got to do all the right things in the gym. There's a lot of stuff that goes off that you don't see that's off the field that obviously enables you to play well on a Friday or Saturday or Sunday or whenever. So it's planning and a bit of foresight into the future, and something that probably some clubs have struggled with in times of, you know, we've had good periods, but not, you know, not thought about, well, when that finishes, where are we going to be? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for, you know, Man United, for example, like look at Alex Ferguson. You know, I hate Man United, big Leeds fan, but they were always planning. They were always realising that when, you know, somebody was going to leave, you know, Brian Robson, Mark Hughes, they had all these young players coming in that were going to Cantona. They had all these young players in that were going to take over, and you know, they were successful for 20 years, and that was similar to how we did it at Leeds at the time.
I can't finish, Magsy, without touching on 2004, because you know, you've been this young lad, Leeds supporter, loves this game, loves sport, very competitive, come through the ranks, found it difficult, being a young star in your own right, having lots of potential. Did you ever win the Yorkshire Evening Post Rising Star?
Shooting Star, yeah.
Of course you did, Shooting Star. What year was that, do you remember?
I'd say 2002, 3, something
2002,
like that.
3, and then become this world-class player who's competing with players like Les Vinokourov for most tries in a season. Just tell me what went through your heart and mind that year, competing on that level and getting the success that you had.
We had a good team, didn't we? We had a good team. I think my role within that team was pretty easy, to be honest with you. It were not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, because it's never easy to score a try. You got to work hard. You got to put yourself in the right place. And you know, people used to say, "Oh, he's only scoring tries." Well, it's not. It's actually not that easy. You've got to, you know, you might support a break 3 or 4 times, and you might not get the ball, but on that 5th time, you've got to be there again and do it. So we had great players and a great coach that instilled a good work ethic into the players, and we were a pretty determined bunch that year, weren't we? I think we all wanted to be successful. We all knew we had it in us, and we had some good experience with Fernsey, Keith, you know, Barry Mack, people like that sort of steered the ship a little bit, and then obviously the youthful exuberance of, you know, you, me, Rob, Bales, Mathers, that type of players that obviously led to a successful year.
And what about the tries, scoring them tries week on week, and the back end of the year when you've got this competition, when you're racing with Les, what was that like? Did it play in your mind before games?
To tell you what were more annoying, I remember we played London last game at season, and it was coming up to the playoffs, and Tony's like, "I'm going to give you a rest this week." I was like, I knew Les was like 3 or 4 behind me, and I was like, "Really?" He went, "Yeah, I want you fresh for some week after." So I was like, I played every game I think that year apart from that last one. And I was like, he wanted to give, I can't remember who wanted game. I think it might have been to give Rob a full game at half with Kevin, just to say, just in case something happened in the semis. So I agreed to it, and I think Les scored 5 tries against Hull FC, didn't he, in the last game, or 4 tries, and pipped me by 1. But I remember Tony saying to me, "Don't worry, we'll get the big prize," and he were right. So I'd have taken that any day over the individual accolades. So. But I was a bit annoyed because it cost me £1,000, but never mind.
£1,000's £1,000 when you're from East End Park, my friend. But as well, just capitalising on that, we did go to grand final, we beat Bradford, you scored the try there, and I've just got to quickly touch on your try scoring record in grand finals, because are you the most try scored player? I'll have to check that. I'm pretty sure we've played in a lot of grand finals, scored a lot of tries. How did you get up for those games in those moments and come up with those special ones?
I don't know really. Just a little bit of luck, maybe at times. Right place at the right time. But I've always had that knack of being able to. I don't know. Again, you used to say I was spawny. I'd fluke a pink and get the black or something. You know, we were playing snooker or pool, but I just always seemed to put myself in the right place at the right time and just take opportunities, I think. And I don't know if that's luck or skill, I don't know, it's probably debatable, but I always enjoyed the big games. I always wanted to play well, and I used to feel, I don't know, I wake up on that Saturday morning before Old Trafford or semi-finals, and there's a different feel to them games, isn't there? And I don't know, I think it's the bigger challenges, and the bigger the challenge, I used to get more excited about it. So I suppose that's probably why I ended up doing all right in the big games.
In reference to our group, our generation, I once made the mistake at an ex-Players Association dinner of saying there'll always be a little piece of Kevin Sinfield inside of me, which, as you can imagine, went down in all sorts to a room full of 300 ex-rugby league players. But it's fair to say, Magsy, that whatever happens at back end of this year, and I wish us all the best of luck, wish yourself it, we're playing against each other maybe potentially for last time before we go into the wild west of retirement. But I look back and we've had some moments that nobody can ever take away from us, and I'm sure me and Magsy will spend a lot of time in future at reunions and crossing paths and various, maybe even work together one day, but there'll always be a Danny McGuire walking around with Jeremy Jones Buchanan because of the influence that he's had on me, and I think we've had on each other, and the spirit that we had going through, and that's the most special, gratifying part of rugby league. It's been an absolute pleasure, Magsy. Thanks for your time.
No problem, anytime for you guys.
It's been a great journey, and thanks for coming on, Old Burn.
No worries, mate. Thank you.